Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Theater Talk. We are here with some of the cast members from Matilda, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, and then we're opening to the audience for questions. So why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. Hi, my name's Tony DeLelio. I'm in the ensemble, so I was a school kid, a dad, a salsa dancer, and I'm also the gym captain for the show. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kim Sava. I was in the ensemble. I was a kid. I was a salsa dancer. We were actually a couple. And Russian, etc. All the tiny little parts in the back is kind of like what we do. And I'm originally from North Dakota.
Good afternoon. My name is Bryce Ryness. I'm originally from California, and I played Miss Trunchbull.
Hi guys, thanks for coming first and foremost. Second of all, my name's Justin. I'm originally from Rochester, New York. Actually, technically Brockport. I can say that because we're in upstate and everybody knows where that is now. And I played the escape artist in Magnus today.
Great. All right, we are open for any questions that you may have, so just fire away. I'm going to repeat the questions because obviously we're mic'd up here and you're not. So that way everybody knows the questions, but please fire away. Any questions you may have about Matilda? Anything at all? Got a question in the back? What's it like working with all those children?
Hi, I will say that we work with the most beautiful children inside and out. They have school, and then they have their work, which is our show, and then they have time to be kids. So when they're with us, they work just like we do, and they're super great. And as a gym captain with the show, I run the safeties an hour before the show, so I get to check in with every single one of them. And it's great to see them click on their working brain. It's wonderful working with them.
You know, it's funny. I get asked this question a lot because I play Miss Trunchbull, and the reality of the situation is I'm not really listening to anything that they have to say, like dramatically speaking. But what I can tell you is what makes these kids so wonderful is their professionalism at such a young age. I remember when I was that age, I did not have that degree of professionalism, and I really respect and admire how on point, and I mean, it's cliche because it's a major theme in the show, but they really are very disciplined about how they go about their roles and their tasks and responsibilities, and it just makes for a good show for you guys.
That it certainly does. Does the education aspect of it work? Does each one have its own tutor? Their own tutor? Is there a single teacher for all of them? How does that work?
There are studio teachers that travel with the show who oversee and facilitate the study hours that each kid has to execute. And the way that it's divvied up is because of a varying show schedule. It's essentially a quantity of hours that they have to hit by the end of the week. And so some days they'll be in school for 6 hours, and then other days they'll be in school for 1 hour. And it's just a function of making sure that they get the quantity of time that one would be in a schoolroom.
But other than that, it would almost be similar to something like a one-room schoolhouse in days of old, or not?
The only difference is the students, the kids in the show are of varying ages, so they're at different levels of education, and they're also from many different states. These are not all New Yorkers. We have people from Florida, from Georgia, a lot from Jersey and Pennsylvania. So the tutors also have to balance the different curriculums from each state. And they do a fantastic job of what they do, and there's two of them who travel with us who are just godsends.
Boy, talk about making Common Core a nightmare. Wow. Questions, yes. How old is Matilda, and how long has she been doing the show?
Today's Matilda is 10 years old. And how long has she been doing the show? Well, she has been doing the show. They started rehearsal. The kids started rehearsal 3 weeks before the adults did. So that was end of April, beginning of March of this past year. They started, and they've been doing it ever since then. We joined the rehearsal process in late March, and we've been doing it since then.
Now, you said this Matilda is 10 years old. Is there a rotating Matilda?
Yeah,
role?
there's three Matildas that rotate performances. They each do 3 or 2 performances every week, depending on the math of it. And they are fantastic, lovely, bright individuals.
Okay. Yes.
Talking about the evolution from the child actor up through y'all, did y'all start early and make that journey?
The evolution from child actor to adult actor. Did you all start very young and continue as an adult? And what's it like with that evolution?
Yeah, so my mom was in show business. So I remember being 5 years old, seeing her come out of stage doors. And then I started performing professionally when I was in 3rd grade and just been dancing ever since then. And after high school, I started touring, and here we are. Yeah, I think all of us have grown up doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, my family was military, so I started out in the military band as a 2nd grader. I was the choir singer. It was great. I had a cummerbund, matching colors, Shaw Heights Jets. And that's kind of how I started. I actually started out singing and then gradually worked my way up through like dancing and then acting. And we've all kind of started since I think we were young and just blossomed until now when we're just now turning 19. Yeah.
I did not get into theater until I was about 25. I played baseball all growing up, which is a style of performance. But I was always singing in choir, and then I was in a professional a cappella group for a while, and then made the transition from being a professional singer into a professional actor right about the time I was 25.
Yeah, pretty similar for me. I grew up playing 3 sports, and that was my jam. And then my older sister, I have a sister who's 3 years older, and I have a twin brother who's in the business as well. We watched her do her dance recitals and her performances, and we said, all right, that looks awesome. That looks great. So
Tell me about your friend that you were dancing with.
What?
Like your older sister with like all these hot girls dancing. You're like, how do I get involved with that?
Yeah, I was 11, Bryce, so that's a weird thing to think.
You said you started early?
I did. No, and I didn't really get really immersed in the arts until I went to college, Ithaca College, upstate New York.
Great program. Okay, questions. Fire away. Yes.
At this stage of your respective careers, I'm curious as to what your prevailing emotion is just before the curtain rises.
At this stage in your respective careers, what's your prevailing emotion just as the curtain rises? Full confidence, a little nervousness, sheer panic, what?
To be honest, mine is gratitude. I would have to say gratitude and excitement. Gratitude, question mark? No, it would definitely be gratitude. I'm extremely grateful to be out here performing, doing what I love, getting paid for it. And the audiences here have been awesome. Everybody here is so wonderful and smart and picking up on all the jokes and just really enjoying themselves, which makes our jobs so much easier. And we have so much, but we feed off of the energy that the audience gives us. So thank you. It's been really great.
I'm going to be real honest with you guys. I have a 5-month-old who is traveling with me and my wife, and so every time the curtain goes up, my word is fatigue. And I'm just like, here we go! But once that music kicks in, once you step on the stage, you don't have to think about any of that stuff. It comes, if the excitement isn't coming, I shouldn't be on that stage. So there is a click moment. There is a moment before where you're like, okay, all right, it's a job, it's fantastic, I love my job. You step on stage, you're in that world.
I don't come on the stage for the first 38 minutes of the show. So by the time I hit the stage, like the momentum is already going. The train has already left the station. So a lot of times my emotional state is just a function of like, keep it going, keep it going. My character walks a very fine line between being terrifying and being absolutely hilarious. And so it's the challenge then is to walk that razor's edge of making sure that y'all are laughing and having a good time, but also that there is an imminent threat from the Trunch Bowl. Otherwise, it's just like silly and stupid, and that's not good theater. So the emotional state is very much one of like, all right, can I meet this challenge?
I think before the curtain goes up, I'm obviously excited and super grateful to be here, and mostly focused. I think it's a positive focus. I make it a point to check in with everyone in the company before the show starts, because I don't like being on stage and seeing Kim for the first time that day under stage lights. So I like connecting with everyone, and I check in with all the kids as they're waiting behind the birthday table at the top of the show. And I think just seeing the sparkle in their eye and that that their pointed energy is just really gets me excited. Yeah.
Okay, good. Question? Please? Oh, we got one here. Yes, ma'am. Has your character always been played by male?
So the Royal Shakespeare Company, about 12 years ago, started work on this piece. They somehow got the Dahl estate to release the theater rights for it, and they worked on it and worked on it, revised it and revised it, and worked on it and worked on it, and revised it and revised it, and they did a bunch of different iterations of it. And what they found was they had a woman playing it at one point, and then they did the show with entirely kids, even a kid playing Miss Trunchbull, and then they did a show with only adults, a version of the show, and then they finally, just where the dust settled, they found that this character of the Trunchbull is kind of an other. Like, I don't know how many like real life hammer throwers you know that are female, but they're kind of in this other category. And so they just found, for the needs of the show, that to inhabit this kind of other space, not masculine or feminine, just, terror, it was just easier for, it was a shorter commute for a man to get there, is how Matthew said it.
Very good, very good. Yes. I think I couldn't quite hear his questions about the accents, because you all sounded British on stage and you don't now.
Well, actually, this is my real. We were doing American accents so you could understand what we're saying. But really, growing up in the mean streets of California, I developed this. No, it's just acting. And when also too, what's I don't know how best to draw an analogy, but like when you show up to work with your business suit on, your voice change. It's easy to inhabit that space of like, I'm in front of a lectern, I'm gonna put on my speaking voice. And the same thing happens for us on stage. The lights come on, I've got this ridiculous costume, and it's very easy to inhabit that world. It's a little bit more challenging to maintain, your public speaking voice when you're like putting a Q-tip in your ear in the morning and that kind of stuff. It's all about the space and the world that we're creating.
World I understand well. Questions? Way in the back, okay. Yes. That more sounds like a technical issue to me that we'll make sure that gets directed to the stage personnel.
Sometimes that's some of the beauty of beauty is an interesting word to use. That is the challenge of being a touring production, because we play so many different shaped theaters. And the design that is made for this production is a brilliant design. And for each different theater, the sound can be different, the acoustics can be different. So there's a little play that goes into that sometimes for us. And every theater we show up at, the first day before we even step on the stage with an audience, we go through a pretty rigorous sound check just to make sure that everything's functioning correctly. But the rest of that is sometimes the beauty of live theater. You go to see people live and in person. Hopefully you're getting the story. Hopefully you're understanding what's happening. And we forgive a little bit of the ability to miss a word here and there, especially with the 10-year-olds.
All right, I just got the signal. One more question because they've got to get a bite to eat. This after a matinee performance and get all tuned up for tonight. So, one final question, if I may. Anybody? Yes.
I hear a lot about getting in character. What is that process? And especially for the people that are switching roles during the performance, and you have to do something in your mind for each part.
Okay, the question is getting in character. What's that process like? And for people who have several different roles within a performance, how do you deal with that?
I know everyone as an actor has their own process, and for Kim, myself, and Justin, we wear many different hats in the show. I go from being a dad to a 14-year-old to a vicious salsa dancer. So what they direct us to is to believe that it's real. You know, when we're in the salsa, I believe that I am the best. Even if I wake out of bed and I'm like, I feel like a loser today. But in that moment, it's like, I believe I'm the best, or I believe that my child is the best. So I think it's just seeing the world around you, and there's nothing, that is the truth. That's what I do. I know everyone has their own process. Yeah.
What's your processes?
Oh gosh, my process. Yeah, I start out as a parent, which is great. I am not one yet, but I know a lot of parents, Justin, and it's great starting out as an adult because I am one, and so warming up in that sense, I just kind of don't have to try. I just am. But going into a kid, again, it's just living in the moment and just trying to tell the truth on stage. You know, remembering what it was like as a 14-year-old. And just having fun, because as a kid, it's everything in life is so fun. And then as a salsa dancer, I really warm up my body. And again, yeah, you go out there and you're just, I'm the best. We were really, really drilled into, our choreographer was like, you have to believe that you are the best one on that stage. If you don't, the audience isn't going to believe you, I'm not going to believe you, and you're fired. So I get out there and I'm like, I'm the best. You know, yeah, I mean, you just have to live in the truth and tell the story, and if you do that, you're set. Your characters are set.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as Hollywood as you think. It's not as like, you see all these interviews. I'm throwing out some truth nuggets today, so you see these
Getting real candid up here.
you see these method actors talking about, in order to play, I love Daniel Day-Lewis, but in order to play Lincoln, I had to go out into the woods for a month and a half in a cabin. No, you don't. You really don't. You have to understand what Lincoln wanted. You have to understand the world in which he lived in, and you have to pursue what he wanted. That's all it is. Yes, of course, it helps if you look close to the character. But for us, switching into these different characters or getting into character, when I'm playing a parent in the first scene, what does this character want from his son? Oh, he wants his son to not act up and to get a good picture. Great, done. End of story. That's what I'm pursuing in that scene. Okay, when I'm Magnus coming out and singing to her about how I forgot her and she got locked in a room by Miss Trunchbull, what do I want? I want her to forgive me. I want her to say, I forgive you, and give me a hug and call it a day. And if I'm pursuing those things, the character comes along with it. I don't think it needs to be much deeper than that.
How did I get beautiful legs? Is the question from the front. Your $10 is waiting for you. Genetics. In terms of entering the world of Miss Trunchbull, again, I'm going to echo what Justin said and say that actors and creatures that are interesting to watch are people that want something. There's something inherently interesting about someone who wants something, and then you see them pursuing it. And that's interesting because that's human nature, is we all want something, and it's just, how you tell the story. With Miss Trunchbull, her wants are very clear, and they're actually kind of spelled out in her first song and in her second song. And so it's just a function of putting on the costume and then playing make-believe, essentially. If this is what I want, how do I go about getting it?
All right, good. How about a nice round of applause for our actors and dancers and singers? Thank you all very, very much for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching, and have yourself a wonderful day. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.